you're probably at the stage of your career where you're from time to time bumping into younger people at earlier stages. Maybe they're in college, maybe they're thinking about their first job. They've heard a lot about digital infrastructure. It's all over the mainstream business media now, and they're curious about what career paths might look like for someone less technical that's thinking about a client-facing kind of role in digital infrastructure. What would you advise someone, maybe their son or daughter of a friend or family member or neighbor or coworker? What kind of guidance would you give that person?
I would be sure that it's something that makes me passionate and makes me excited and I think is fun, because I think a core thing to think about in any career choice is play to your strength. So I was having a meeting with the other owners and we were discussing our strategy in the next 6 months. And my experience is very much that you're dealt a deck of cards. Some things you can improve upon, some things, no matter how much time you put into it, like my golf game, will never become super good. So try to identify what drives you and what excites you, because if something excites you, you'll most likely like to put a lot of energy into it, and by extension, you'll probably become very good at it. Now, in terms of specifically relating that to the ICT infrastructure, I really think that I heard someone say that they see kind of power and cooling as almost commoditized types of parts of or bits of a data center, while the fiber is where a lot of the development will take place with AI and the huge amounts of information sharing between the different AI clusters, both within the data center and within adjacent or nearby data centers, and even further afield. So maybe if you can kind of have a holistic view of the data center market, I would suggest pursuing something within the fiber and the actual communication exchange part of the business.
So that's super interesting. So are you seeing that throughout the continent, or are you just seeing that in Sweden, where telecommunications feels like it's going to offer much more career growth and is facing less commoditization than power and cooling?
Well, I think you're pretty relevant if you can get your foot in the door and get relevant education. And even if we don't 10x the amount of data center capacity in the world in the next 10 years, which by the way, I really don't think is humanly possible. Maybe Musk has different opinions, but I do think that there will be a huge scale up of this infrastructure. And one thing that this business and this sector is it's a credibility business. So it's very much like starting a bank. You need credibility to get those first clients in. And that means that you're only going to hire people with experience if you can choose, which means the people who are in the pool of knowledge, their value will go up quite dramatically. And we're already seeing this play out. So I guess my quick advice is try to get your foot in the door in that part of the data center ecosystem where you find the most interesting, and work your network or work your focus into trying to get yourself in the door. And since it's such a ramping up part of the economy, most people are looking for people who are excited about joining them. And just badger people. Don't be afraid to say, read 5 books. If you read 5 books, you'll be more knowledgeable than most. And if you start, referring to those books while you're interested in the opportunity, you'll catch decision makers' attention quite quickly.
I guess for anyone that's thinking about sales development or account executive role, there's probably no better practice while they're in their teens or early 20s in university than trying to figure out how to network their way to the perfect internship while they're still in school so they can build resume experience.
Well, at Dartmouth, there was 2 things that really interested me. One was real estate, which actually kind of was how I built my capital before the data center. I jumped into the data sector, but also the green economy or the environmental economics aspect of things. So I did a major in environmental economics, and I tried very hard to get into the Tuck Business School real estate class because I was a teaching assistant, or I was a research assistant for one of the professors who was Swedish. And I tried very hard to get into this Tuck real estate class, and I wouldn't stop. I literally kept badgering him. And he said, Svante, in the end, you have to stop badgering me because I will get fired if I let you into this class. But being persistent will help you a lot in life. And if I could, I would have let you into this class. So persistence is quite a virtue.
I had a similar experience in college and learned firsthand never to take the job requirements in the job ad too literally. This was back in the days when job ads were still in a physical student newspaper, but IBM on campus was looking for student reps. They wanted people that were at least a sophomore, presumably because they were more mature. And they wanted people that had a technical major. I was a freshman and I was a pre-business or an econ major or something like that. So managed to get the foot in the door, and it ended up being a really seminal part of the next couple of decades of my. So yeah, I'm a huge believer in trying to figure things out before you get to the point of like, okay, 3-4 years into all of this, and now what?
Absolutely. Completely. Well, in Europe, it's all even worse. I mean, you literally have to figure out what you want to do before you start college. So when I was my first weeks at Morgan Stanley, some of the Germans in my analyst class had literally studied financial modeling for a year when I hadn't even opened an Excel document at Dartmouth. So it was quite a steep learning curve. Luckily, I had some very good bosses who took care of me and looked out for me. So things turned out okay.
Looking back, there's definitely some serendipitous things that can happen in that environment that worked. I remember first semester freshman year, Econ 101 professor forced us to learn Lotus 123 with the old command codes. And that led to getting a really good job the following summer, because around that time, spreadsheets were still relatively, dating myself a little bit. But yeah, so you never really know when you're open to these things, where the opportunity is going to land. So with that in mind,